Hello, welcome to another edition of the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. I'm Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
It's been a long day, isn't it? It's been a long day. So what are we talking about today? This is not going to be a long one, is it?
No, it is not. I know.
That's what she said.
For the people who listen to the podcast,
which is everyone.
I literally just turn up and talk, and I try and get guests on the show. Mark kind of does everything else. So it's probably worth you telling the guys what changes you've made to the podcast. Because I know when we first started this, we were doing the noises were made thing. And then we were just kind of going, look, let's just see what's happened. And I mean, I don't really look at the numbers, but I know you do. And you're always quite positive about all of that. And so it's turning into something else. So why don't you tell everyone?
Yeah, I said every time you speak, it goes down. Every time I speak, it goes up. No, so basically what we've done is we've taken the podcast and originally we launched it off the back of Noises Were Made, which is my own podcast. That's what, just chat about random stuff and interview people. So it made sense for us to do that. We wanted to test it, see if it worked. Because, you came on the podcast and we were talking about originally the actual doing stuff at the Force.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Why don't you want to talk? You just want to.
Yeah, it was talking about all the setup, the entertainment side of things, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it made sense because there has been a lot of change that's gone on with the Force, more so than now we've seen other teams, and as the season went on, we realised sort of how much we took on and how much it affected the game. And in doing so, it's like, well, we just do a podcast about it. So then it was teaching some of the players about, do you know the history of Portsmouth basketball and how there is history in it's not just like this is a brand new thing we're doing. There is legacy here. So when some of the players, they were coming up to you saying, wow, I didn't know any of that stuff, or I knew some of these bits, or I've heard these names, but I didn't know that was how deep it went. Then, fast forward to now, it's like, why don't we share this in a podcast? Let's launch it because I have a channel. We did that, and the response was better than I expected, to be honest. I just thought we were going to be doing it, and we're doing it because we were nostalgic about it, and we just wanted to share the story. But it seems that people like listening to us for some reason.
Yeah, it turned into a bit of a, I don't know, just, I suppose we're passionate about it. So, people are picking up on that.
And we've had great guests. I can't pretend we haven't had great guests. That's all down to you. And, that it's nice. I mean, some of the stories have been shocking. And some of the the answers people have given have been very interesting. But, it's whenever you have a conversation with someone, you never really know where it's going to go.
Yeah, and the numbers that I liked the most were when we did the first one, I told 2 people about it. And I said, look, Mark's put it up there, have a listen, let me know what you think. Then all of a sudden you were like, Paul, the rate, this is what the numbers are. And I was like, oh, right, bloody hell, that's pretty good. Okay. And then it was probably only about 3-4 weeks ago we started properly promoting it and saying, look, there's a new episode out there.
Up until then we're just floating it out and telling people, we're doing this. But for those listening, maybe a later date, at the moment now, it's early September, early to mid-September in 2023. And actually, if you think of like the summer season, and that was all the downtime in the season. So promoting any of the games or anything coming up, there wasn't really any of that happening. So, it was...
The guest helped.
Well, it was one of those things where I want to say chicken and egg, but you don't want to fall on deaf ears. And I think some of the stories we've had on, I mean, the one that sticks in my head particularly is the Oklahoma story, which is just ridiculous. Like, you just think that that's happened. But when you listen to it again and think, no, surely that doesn't happen. Like that is modern times, but no. And
I think all the guests have had something really, really good. I mean, I could go through each one, and I mean, obviously Steve's one was like that. I think the Alex Grant one was just a real good laugh when we were talking about that contract. I could go on through all. He wouldn't have signed without that contract.
No,
I don't think he would. Mate.
It was all about the dong.
But I think everyone who's come on has just brought something different, and you know, that's what I've been trying to do, is do a bit of a range. So what you've done is you kind of created, rather than it be through the noises were made.
Yep.
You've created a new, I don't know what it's called, a channel or area called Portsmouth Basketball Podcast.
Yeah, it's all a bit weird, the way that stuff gets just, because podcasts now, every monk and their dog can do a podcast, and it's fairly easy to do, in a sense of you can distribute it yourself. But the downside is you have to set everything up and set all the wheels in motion, and you need things to be catalogued in the background according to Google and Apple and all the people who push this around the universe, or the metaverse, so to speak. So we've had to set something new up just for the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. So in doing so, I've had to take all the other ones and rename them as something else, so there's no confusion. So they still all are on there, all the episodes up till episode 10. They're all on Noises Away as well.
How long are they going to stay on there for?
I'll leave them indefinitely there, just as legacy, so they're there. But as of episode 10, that's the end of that. Then everything now and here on after is all going to be going forward. So the first main episode,
it's got to be Dan, isn't it?
It was Dan, yeah. Coach Dan.
So everyone look for Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. That's where all the new ones will go. And is there an email address? If anyone wants to contact us, contact us. Tell us if you want to come on the show. Tell us if you've made a jingle for us.
Very subtle email address as well.
What is it?
UK Basketball Podcast.
Wow.
@gmail.com.
UK Basketball Podcast at gmail.com.
Because the thing is, we recognise that we're talking about Portsmouth basketball because that's what we know. But we would love to hear and speak to other teams, and not just people in our leagues, but in other leagues and BBLs and FIBA, NBA teams, whoever. The idea is that we just like talking and hearing all these stories about, I won't say just playing, but the development of the game. Because in the UK, we just did an interview very recently, and just hearing about some of the foundations and the development work in other countries compared to the UK and where we are, in some ways we've taken a backward step from our childhoods. So it's like, what can we do to improve the game? And if us doing the podcast raises a bit of awareness, and people think, wow, actually I could maybe help out coaching, or I want to help get involved in ref, or I want to take more of my kids along, or let's get as many people we can down there and get more people behind it, sort of thing. Because it is not a gigantic sport in the UK.
Well, seeing as I'm organising all the guests, I don't know how you expect me to get some NBA coaches or players on here. I will try, Mark.
I will aim for the moon.
I will send an email to Michael Jordan and ask him.
I don't want to speak to Michael Jordan.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to speak to him.
I don't think he'll want to speak to you, to be honest.
He would
especially after some of your predictions of the World Cup that just happened.
No.
You could not have got that more wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so just if anyone hasn't listened, Mark, this was at the quarter-final stage. Mark guaranteed the audience that Luka, who's he play for? Slovenia. Luka would lead Slovenia to a world championship.
Get to the finals. I
said I like Canada, and they played each other in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I took you too literally there, because you said I like Canada. I like, as a country, wonderful. As a basketball nation, not so strong. And unfortunately, they've got some, Dylan Brooks is now, becoming the Reggie Miller, so to speak, of the world. He's taken that mantle quite nicely, isn't he?
Well, they did get to the semi-finals, Mark. They did get to the semi-finals, and they missed out on the final. Serbia played extremely well, beaten by 9 points. But so we both got knocked out in the end.
Was that Bogdan?
Is it what?
Bogdanovic.
No idea. I couldn't tell you. That's a throw it under the bus question. Don't know. But the one thing we were talking about on that show.
So who are the world champions right now?
Germany, Mark. Germany are the world champions. They beat America in the semi-finals.
Yep.
And they're beaten by 2 points. I mean, there were some real clutch plays right towards the end. But it goes back to that conversation we were having. And who was the athlete that was talking about it?
Noah Ingles.
Lyles. No, Lyles.
Yes.
So he was, saying all the talk about, can you really call yourself in the NBA if you win the championship, world champions? I mean, you
Giannis
can argue it's probably the best league in the world.
Of course it is.
But yeah, no, we kind of came to that conclusion that it's a big difference between.
What's the best football league in the world?
Well, exactly.
I don't know.
Is it the Premiership? Is it La Liga? I'm sure everyone's.
But whoever wins that, they're not world champions, are they?
No, exactly. So are we looking at the German leagues now, saying, well, whoever wins the top German league are world champions? No, we're probably not. I mean, it's the pinnacle of basketball is the NBA without a doubt. But you know what's coming. And I said this to you when they lost. Who did they lose to? Was it Slovenia? Or was it Slovenia? Slovakia? Who was it? Eastern European country they lost to in their last game before the quarterfinals.
Wasn't it Lithuania?
Yes, Lithuania. They lost. And I remember saying to you, that is a wake-up call. They hopefully will come back going all guns
But you
firing.
say that, but Lithuania in FIBA rankings, they're top 5 team.
Yeah, no, they're no pushovers.
So and I think...
But we thought that would be the wake-up call.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's not just about wake-up calls. I think it's about talent. I mean, we're not giving away who the guest was earlier, but just talking in terms of European basketball circles and so forth, there's a lot more talent that's coming over and getting more accessible into the NBA now. So we're seeing more and more. I mean, Popovich has been playing in Euro players for 20 years and playing Euroball. He loves it. And it's looking at the other teams now, they're starting to adopt it. And most of the MVPs, but a lot of the strong people, Joker, Giannis, Paolo in Orlando now, obviously Luka. All these players,
they aspire to play for the Orlando Magic. I agree, Mark. I agree.
Paolo does, but they're all European players, and it's really, really interesting that you're seeing that change in the NBA, where they're sort of almost acknowledging that style of play, but the players are actually being able to get into the NBA to start with, and the game has adapted. So, but it is still, I mean, it's pretty surprising Germany winning, regardless.
Well, I mean, Germany beat the States by 2 points, and look, could that have gone the other way? Yeah, it could have. But they then lost for third place to Canada.
Yeah,
they lost by 9 to Canada.
I think the other thing you're looking at as well,
I think they went into overtime as well.
Maybe one of the challenges that America has more than any of the other countries, to be fair, is they probably play the least with each other. Most of the other countries, they either play in the same leagues as each other, or lots of teams have several players who all play together. I think America have quite just a mixed mash, so they may not. Our question is always, name your 5 and who's warming the pine. That's always a tough one because everyone's always thinking, how do the people play together?
Yeah, and we didn't get all stars.
No,
like all the all stars going to the.
Well, I mean, even when the Dream Team went, did they all play in perfect synergy? Probably not. There was probably still you checking egos there. Obviously, they dominated, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good. I mean, football was taught us you can spend as much money as you like and have the best people all in the world, chuck them all on the same thing, but they won't perform necessarily. But I think it just goes without saying that America didn't field the best team they ever could have fielded.
Well, I've got some fate for you here.
But they didn't do it. So there's no point whinging about it or saying, well, they didn't play them. You didn't play them.
Yeah, they didn't play
So,
them.
If it's like, oh, I went to the World Cup with Pele, but he was left on the bench. It's like, well, you didn't play him, that's on you.
Well, listen to this. This is, if this doesn't bring a bit of, what's the right word? History repeating itself.
Yeah.
So you focus on a few things. So it was in 1992. the dream team
Yep.
turned up to the Olympics. That was that classic where we saw Magic, Bird, Jordan. Didn't they have, who's that random player they had? It used to be a college team, so they took one college player. Who was the college player they took? I want to say like Brett Leitner or something like that.
Christian Leitner.
Yeah, he went. But, you know, other than that, it was 11 Basketball Hall of Famers. Okay, so that was in 92, yeah?
Yeah.
16 years later
Yep.
is when you had the Redeem team, where, you know, Kobe turned up, took it personally.
Yep.
If you've not seen when the States played Spain,
Yep.
check it out.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Kobe, when he's talking, if for those who've not seen it, you know, Kobe was, some of the players were curious how Kobe would play against
Pau Gasol.
Gasol, yeah. And very first play, I mean, he drives his elbow, shoulder, straight through him. Just set the tone of, you know, I want to win this, you know, this forget, you know, Laker brothers and all that. So where I'm going with this, Mark, that was in 2004, 16 years later.
Yep.
Sorry. They got him. They lost in 2004.
Yep.
16 years after the 1992, so 2008 is when the Redeem team turned up. Yeah. Yep. 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where I'm going with this, can't you?
Yep.
So 16 years after the Redeem team is 2024 Paris.
Yep.
When the Olympics will be.
Yep.
You can see where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is confirming. He's going. And the only thing, like, I've got a statement here. James reportedly is not only interested in making an Olympic return to 2024, he wants to bring some of the NBA superstars with him. The two-time gold medalist has not suited up for the Olympics since 2012. Reportedly, he has reached out to Steph Curry, boom, Kevin Durant, boom, Anthony Davis and Jason Tatum. You know what? They're coming. They're coming.
I'm not taking Durant.
They're coming, Mark.
Look, easy money sniper. He's the last Sonic that is playing in the NBA that I'm aware of. If someone fact checks me, please do. And I'll support them as well. But he is the last official Supersonic playing in the NBA. And that's where my love for Durant ends. But, I wouldn't be taking him.
Well, you know, Team USA have won 4 straight Olympic gold medals, going back to the Redeem team. So they are going to be looking for redemption in Paris. The US have failed to medal at FIBA World Cup level two straight times.
So
it goes to that thing. I wonder what they take seriously: the Basketball World Cup or the Olympics?
Yeah, they're not taking it seriously. They won't take it seriously until they win it. If they won the FIBA World Championships and they won the Olympics, all right, there you go. You can say we're the best. Good for you. But I guess their argument was, I want to say, poorly put across. They were just saying, we're the best in the world, world champions, because it's the best league in the world. Yeah, it probably is. It's the most well known. But all the talent that's now coming across from FIBA and all other places. Look at Steve Adams from Australia. I don't know where his entry was, but I don't think it's through FIBA. So yeah.
Well, there you go, Mark. I like those nice numbers that show patterns.
I was looking just as you said that. Listen to this team: 92. Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Chris Mullin, John Stockton, Karl Malone, Clyde Drexler, MJ, Scottie Pippen, Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, and Christian Leitner. I mean, it's like Christian Leitner is there. I mean, he was a prodigy player, I believe, at college.
College. He was like a real, rough.
And
got in there, annoyed everyone. He like pissed everyone off.
Yeah, but he was going to be like a lame beer kind of character.
Yeah.
And if I remember rightly, Leitner went to the Timberwolves. which is, for all my friends in Minnesota, which they do listen, believe it or not.
Wow.
I got a message the other day when I was like, yeah, I listened to your podcast. Didn't realise you're British. Like,
did you know her?
Him.
Oh, sorry. Did you know him?
What do you mean, did I know him? Yes, I know him.
Oh, okay.
I work with him.
Oh, right. Wow, that's cool. It's amazing when you think someone from another country is listening to you.
Yeah.
Talk.
But he was, I went over there, and when I went over there, I said before on the podcast, I saw the, I've forgotten their name now. I have to look it up. It's the ladies team for Minnesota. They were playing, but they were playing Seattle, and Seattle at the time were the world champions, or the WNBA champions. So they were playing them, and I was pleased because I got to see a Seattle team, and go obviously inside the stadium in Target Center, because Target is epitomous. It's like everywhere you go in Minnesota is a Target.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your brother sent me to go to Walmart to go pick up some specific Walmart.
Walmart
earbuds.
is arguably the greatest shop in the world.
Yeah, if you're Florida man, yeah. Sure.
100%. Great shop.
But those, I mean, that's going back to we've totally gone off piece. But the point is that all of those teams, if you don't put the team out, you can cry all you want.
Right, hey, look, they're going to now.
Wow.
You know what? Just saying,
why didn't they do it?
Again, they I don't know. Well, who knows? But
why
they're coming?
Why do you enter competition and not put your best players? And if they said, "Well, we're trying to give someone else a chance," it's like, so I'm going to pick on Jalen Brunson because he's playing for New York now and he left the Mavs, so I can beat on him a bit. So you're putting Jalen Brunson above Steph Curry, or taking LeBron or anyone like that. That they genuinely believe, that's the best that the USA is going to put forward. It's like if you're not serious about the competition. I mean, I'm not saying that the players they put over are bad, and some players like Anthony Edwards and they did fantastically well.
I do think it's nice when America, with that dream team, it was brilliant. But I mean, they were just walking the floor with everyone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think there's been lots. Then they play college players.
Yeah.
That
was the whole thing.
So I guess what you're saying, either do it or don't do it. Like, is that what you're saying? Like, play your best team or maybe play the college players.
I mean, I'm in the camp of people who say before, like, was it 74 or 76 when the NBA merged with the ABA, and that's when you got like the Indiana Pacers and New York. I think they came across, and there was a couple of others, but the main thing was that's when the NBA as we know it, other than those expansion teams, existed. So all of those trophies and everything prior to that, all the ones that the Lakers won, all the ones that Red Auerbach won and stuff, they're void.
Wow.
Because it's not the same league. It's like they were playing against teams who had like 8 players, and then they were getting crazy numbers. So it's just, you can't compare the same thing. You can't compare a Formula 1 car now to a Formula 1 car from the 60s. You can't say Fangio would be able to drive like Lewis Hamilton. Like, the stuff they have to do now is just on a different level. At the same time, the imminent threat of death in the 60s was pretty high.
I mean, I'm watching a documentary at the moment. It's about Bernie Eccleston. And it's a brilliant documentary. Check it out. It's
Bernie the Weasel.
Well, it's talking about his perspective.
I've got a story about Bernie.
Well, it's talking about his perspective about all his favourite drivers and what was going on politically within the sport. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. Every year there's like 2 or 3 deaths, and every now and then it's like, man, I was really close to him. He did say one thing, and again, I watched it I was watching, I think, episode 3 or 4 last night, and it really resonated with me. He said, what did he say? He said, show me someone who's happy they've lost, and I'll show you a loser. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was like, I mean, that's, that famous Talladega Nights film where he said, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Similar thing, isn't it?
Oh, God, oh, absolutely. But I mean, yeah, Bernie's a character.
So what's your Bernie story? Hang on, has this just turned into the Portsmouth Formula 1 podcast?
No, it hasn't, but it's a good one. It's we landed in the middle of the Silverstone, got off the helicopter and went to get into a little shuttle, and they're going to take us to the paddock. I was there with one of the teams. It wasn't very. It sounds more glamorous than it was, but the point was, they had these transit vans that came out, and the transit vans had black electrical duct tape all over the front. We're like, you thought they'd have got better vans than beaten up sort of transits. Inside, they were immaculate. It's like, what's going on? I said, well, why have you got all the like gaffer tape all over it? And he said, Bernie said to Ford, you can pay me for advertising Ford trucks at Silverstone. And they were like, you can jog on, you bought them. So then he was like, right, I'm not advertising your brand.
What a legend.
And so they literally black electrical tape over him. You're like, you couldn't make that up. It's unbelievable. But it's like, it's a van in the middle of Silver. Like, no one's going to see it. But he's like, I'm not advertising your truck.
He's a businessman through and through.
It's different level, isn't it?
Yeah. If you want, you got to pay. Anything involved in it, you're paying.
I mean, I know we're on a slight tangent to that, but in terms of paying and stuff like that, money-wise, you look at the money that's in the sports at the moment now, and the massive hit that the NBA took in COVID, they've started recovering a lot of that back. And yet this year, I wasn't sure if I was going to renew for my league pass.
Why not? Oh, you're not going to have a rant, are you?
I'm not going to have a rant. I don't know. I was like, am I really going to enjoy watching every single game this year?
Well, may I recommend you start watching the Orlando Magic games, Mark, because you will enjoy every game.
I do watch the Magic games, and they are enjoyable because they're a good team. They're a very good collective team. And like the World Cup has just showed us that if you've got teams that have got this good collective spirit,
yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's like, okay, there's a nice harmony of the way they play and stuff. Whereas if you're just watching 4 James Hardens on the same thing, it'd be like watching a team with 4 Kobe's. That would be really, it'd be tiring. Like, you could only ever have one MJ on the court at any time. So
I just think the Orlando atmosphere is just what's the word? Just
it's an experience. You're not just going for basketball. You're going to have to be entertained, and it's a whole holistic.
Addictive is the word I use. There's an addictive environment where it's just so positive and happy.
However, there's 2 things they could improve. I would like to see the mascot a bit more.
He's the best mascot in sports, I'd say.
In sports?
Stuff in Orlando Magic, I'd say best mascot in sports.
Well, my other thing I was going to say is the pizza on the top floor was terrible, so they got to sort that out. But going back to the mascot thing, I mean, yeah, in sports, I don't think he could be equalled. But we got some news on that, haven't we?
We do, Mark. Portsmouth Force have got a mascot. That little punk bloody pied me in the face the other day. So
all those years, and he stole my glory.
I am keeping one eye looking around, keeping a look over my shoulder. That little punk, especially in the games, especially when I'm doing interviews. So someone did ask, could we post a slow-mo of me being pied in the face? Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, you took that shot to the face like a right champ.
Yeah, bloody hurt.
Not the first time, eh?
It bloody hurt that. Not my lip. If you look at the video, you see I'm like biting or doing something with my lips because it smacked my lip.
So,
his name is Blue.
His name is Blue.
And he is a Portsmouth Force super fan. A super fan. So he will be at all the games as long as everyone wants him to be there.
And do you think, as a super fan, as he is, that he has taken issue with your commentary, perhaps?
My commentary?
To explain the pie in the face?
I don't know. Well, you know what? If I get an opportunity, I'll be pieing him in the face.
We'll have to get him on.
Portsmouth Force fans, we shall hopefully see me pie blue in the face during the season.
That'd be good.
But he is a bit of a slippery character, so we'll see. He's getting up to lots of mischief.
Fantastic. That sounds good.
So that is definitely something coming up. You'll see him. You'll see Blue at the first. Well, I don't want to say season, but in the next game. So the next game is Portsmouth versus the Solent Kestrels. It's a friendly for the Mickey Byrne Memorial Cup. It's the first one, and you know what? I'm not too sure what to expect with that game, to be honest. Part of me wonders if there's going to be an intensity of, a game that's not a friendly. But then, I've played in games against Southampton teams, and they've been, quite nice to play in. So we might have a friendly game. Who knows? I know the Portsmouth Force are still trying out different strategies, different players, seeing how they all gel and stuff like that. I do think there are a few injuries as well, so I don't think you're going to see all the players that we'd expect. But you know what, they're going to turn up and give their best shot.
How many friendly games do you think Kobe ever played?
0. I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Look,
and
everyone...
I think there's players who can't switch off. I'm going to be nice. Not nice, but you know what? That competitive edge. So, when we turn up for the game, let's see who can play and have fun, who's got that competitive edge. I
don't want people to play and have fun. I'm not coming down to watch someone play and have fun. I'm coming to watch someone perform.
Yeah.
Someone says, hey, I play basketball and I'm actually not that bad. So you know what? People are taking their time out and they're coming down to support us. So I'm going to put on a show for them. And I'm going to try my hardest to get the orange ball. Is it orange, by the way?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is it orange?
I don't know.
Brownie orange?
Mate. I don't know.
But that's it. I'm just going to try and stop that getting in my hoop, and I'm going to try and get it in the other one. We're all there because we like basketball, whether you're a fan or whether you're a player. And you can play someone and you can have a rivalry with someone. But you mentioned it on one of the podcasts way back that you had a rivalry with a player. And then at the very end, they're like, that was brilliant. I'm moving on now, but I enjoyed that rivalry because that made me enjoy the game. And I loved having the rivalry. And it's, it's like the Bond villain showing the respect, that's part of the game. But you don't take it off the court and, it's on the court. You step on there, I'm playing.
Well, I guess we'll find out on Saturday how what kind of game we're going to get. I've not really seen too much of the team so far. Probably a bit like you. I've seen a couple of bits. I know some of the players. So, I think let's just see what turns up.
Well, I've never seen a Kestrel's side that I'm aware of ever take their foot off the gas, particularly.
No. Yeah, and I can't see that happening.
I would think that's just a cop out if it's looked at as just a friendly. It's just because we're doing it and it's a great thing because we're honouring Mick by linking up the Solent teams or the teams in the Solent area. It's a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, these guys are going to be trying as hard as they can, I think. But again, we've not seen it, so we don't really know what to expect. We're going to be getting introduced to players we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
There's perspective of, a large audience that people haven't had before. So I don't know. I think there's lots of factors. Let's see what happens. It would be nice to start the season off. Yeah. With a win, that'd be good. Don't forget, you are going up against a team that was in Division 1. They have lost some players.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know all the details about the Solent Kestrels. I don't follow them that closely, but my
You sure?
understanding is they've lost some key players, and with their new structure and stuff like that, they opted down to go to Division 2 to move forward better as a club in the future. So are they a Div 1 team? I don't know. It depends on how many of those Div 1 players are still playing in Div 2. Are they coming down with a full squad? I'd be shocked if they're not. But
well, I guess if we put up a full squad and we go out there and show out what we can do, and it's a pre-season, so I get, yes, it's a pre-season, it doesn't mean anything, but it does mean something, because it's every time that you're getting a chance to touch the ball. I'm going back to a whole Mick thing now, but every time you're doing something, whether it was in a full game or in a practice, every time you got hands on the ball or you're on the court, you're showing why you should be on the court.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not just fighting for a place. It's like, oh, I've got a place now. It's like, yeah, you've got to keep the place. So don't be like, oh yeah, I'm starting 5. It's like, great. You could also be sitting 10. Yeah. So get out there and from the gun, go.
Yeah.
If they're bigger than you, play a different way. If they're smaller than you, run at them. Whatever it's going to be, whatever the strategy, I'm sure Dan's got it all figured, but it's a game. You're not just going out there just to have fun. And if you want to do that, go teach some of the kids. Go teach the juniors.
And the other thing is, the big thing about really that game is for us just to remember Mick and everything he gave to the sport, gave to us as Portsmouth players, Solent Kestrels. He was so involved in everything. It's nice to honour him with. I think there's going to be a minute's silence and stuff, so it'd be nice to honour him with that. And you know what, just as my personal reflection, I'll be in that game just thinking of Mick a lot, and just everything all the gifts he gave us, I suppose,
all the time he put into it.
Yeah, definitely. And
on that, I think the best way to do that is to play the game you'd want to play if you knew Mick was sat there watching.
Hey, if you were playing and you made any mistake, Mick would go, "Hey, sub,
yeah,
get off."
And if you're
not coming back in for a half.
And what would you think? What would be the words that would come out of Mick's mouth if you went, "Mick, it's only a friendly"?
Well, we heard about that story with Chalky where he high-fived that guy who scored a great shot on him. He's like, took him out of the game, didn't he?
Yeah.
For the rest of the game. But look, let's see what happens. I mean, just from our perspective, I know you know what I'm talking about this, but from the entertainment side, I'm really hoping people will feel it and hear it, but we're taking a significant step up. I mean, we were testing some of the game sounds.
Yep.
Little things like we've lost that little buzzing sound that was echoing in the background. So the professionalism of our setup has just gone up a couple of levels.
But it's everything, isn't it? It's the same as when we've moved the podcast and we've got better mics and we've moved things, and then it's everything. It's tightening it down. What works, what doesn't work. Okay, we like this. Can we improve on it? And every single time, just incremental movements. But I got to say, it still sits in the back of my head. We're going to put on a good show. I want the audience to enjoy it, because the whole point of having a team in Portsmouth, as I see it, is to get the city involved in having a team and taking ownership. And we see other countries where their city is saying, hey, you don't have to pay for a sports hall because your team is representing the city. I mean, imagine if we could do that. Imagine even if you just took the fees that we have to pay, or the team has to pay, rather. We don't pay it. I'm not paying anything.
You're never going to get that in England.
No, exactly. But there are teams in the BBL and other teams that are all linked with their local big football teams, or even not even big football teams, but league football teams or big businesses, and they're linked and involved. This is not promo for anyone, but if you are listening and you've got a load of cash, obviously, totally, Rob will snatch your hand off for that.
Who do they eat? Can they email, Mark?
Like me personally,
UK Basketball
I've sent you my PayPal
at gmail.com.
Yep, UK Basketball Podcast.
We'll get you Rob's number.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the podcast. I had a question for you. You said someone from Minnesota was listening to it.
Yes.
What other countries have been listening to the podcast? Because I saw that on your phone.
Yeah. We've had France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, Canada, Brazil. I think we had Australia. What else do we have?
And America, obviously.
America, obviously. Obviously, I think for France, India.
India?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Didn't you say somewhere in the Middle East? Was it the Philippines or something like that?
Oh, yeah. We've had Philippines. We've also had Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mental when you think of it like that,
pretty cool.
isn't it? Wow.
And they probably are listening now. And if you are listening now, we totally appreciate everyone who listens. Whether you listen for 10 minutes every now and again and just think, oh, off they go on another rant or whatever. But we really appreciate it. We do this for the love of it. But we want to try and get, I think the next stage for our podcast is to have people sending us questions. And asking, us to answer
we're getting a
things.
But it'd be great to have interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an Instagram, and it's the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. Go on there, like our stuff, share it with people. Obviously, interact, send us DMs on there. But we do have the email as well. But we just want to, we might do a live show in the future or something. We've got no idea how it's all going to pan out, but we just want to keep doing it and want to get as many of you involved as possible. So with that, if you do know anyone who is a guest, potential wise, whether they're one of the ones that we've talked about before and you know them personally, or someone, in any of the other leagues, you might know someone. Was it 6 degrees of knowing someone? Is it or something like that? What's the thing? Is it 6 degrees or 7? Like I can give a bit of paper to someone, and within 6 moves, it could go to any person in the world or something like that.
Oh, wow.
It's something like that. Someone knows someone who, so I could give this bit of paper to Elton John or something. I don't know.
Well, I have got a fantastic guest coming in next month. I have got a huge guest coming in.
Go on, Em.
So, obviously, we got the Portsmouth Kestrels game in the interim, but the next show after that, so we can obviously talk about the result of the game.
Yes.
But also on that podcast, we have a former Solent star.
Okay.
We have he's based around Southampton, so he was at Southampton Uni, but played for Solent Stars when they were in Div 1. Reading Rockets in Div 1.
Wow.
Portsmouth Smugglers.
Ooh, that's the missing chapter, isn't it?
No, that's the Portsmouth Pirates. Portsmouth Smugglers was when I was
you, wasn't it? Okay.
So I played with this guy. He also played for Team Solent, the Solent Kestrels in Division 3 and 2. And local league, he plays for Hamble Hornets, and they're kind of just winning the league and everything at the moment. He also is a Great Britain maxi over 40s player.
Okay. It's not you, is it? I'm not interviewing
I am
you.
talking about the legend, the Portsmouth legend. He wasn't captain, but he was like the captain of the team in the Portsmouth Smugglers. And that is a guy called Ryan Payne.
Ryan Payne, we look forward to having you on the podcast.
He's going to have some great stories.
I'm looking forward to it. Can I just ask, is this guest actually going to turn up today?
I'm confident he's going to turn up.
Yeah?
I'm confident.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm confident.
You were pretty confident about Mr. Chairman.
I know, Mr. Chairman let us down, Mark. I do.
You were pretty confident about Mr. Chairman.
We've been trying to get him. I think wasn't he going to be our first guest?
Yep.
I think he was supposed to be our first guest, and we've been trying to get him on here now for 8 weeks?
I mean, we need to do something drastic. We need to go to the golf club or something.
Hang on, was he supposed to be tonight? He was tonight, wasn't he?
He was tonight.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, I got a message from Rob Milner. Let's name and shame him.
Name and shame him. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
You are shamed.
Messaged me and said, Paul, I'm so sorry. Something's come up. And he was going Wentworth. I don't know what that is, but he said it's something to do with golf.
What's quite funny is you said that first, and all I could think is it wasn't Wentworth. Wasn't that a women's prison, like a TV show? For some reason, I think that was it. But.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I asked him. Maybe it is a prison. But I asked him, and he said he's going to some golf thing, and I just replied very briefly and said golf is not a sport.
I mean, they have bats, don't they?
It's not a sport.
They have
it's
golf
up
bats.
there with darts.
Darts is a drinking
badminton. It's up there with that.
You only don't like badminton.
It's not a real sport, is it?
Course.
So he is actually coming on the show.
Really?
Let's put an asterisk after Ryan.
Really? You're that confident?
He's just postponed us for 1 week.
Like you.
But yeah. So after Ryan, hopefully we'll have Rob.
Do you know what? Anyone who listens to this, if you've got this far, you are a patient person indeed. I would like you to DM us, whether it's on the podcast, whatever channel, if you Spotify, Amazon, whatever it is you listen on, or on Instagram or on our web. Send us what punishment we need to give Mr. Chairman for binning us off on more than one occasion.
Well, Mark, I've got a suggestion. I don't like the little punk, but I'm going to send it out to Blue. Blue, why don't you pie Mr. Chairman in the face?
Oh, yes.
And, I'll just make sure I can see him at all times.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to arrange that because you obviously will have a grudge out for Blue anyway. So.
No, we're amicable. We're talking to each other. It's fine. I just said to him, look, at some point, you can get rugby tackled, right? Just when you're not expecting it. Boom. Down.
Wow.
Payback.
Another one bites the dust.
But so, yeah. Well, there you go, Mark. That's a
nice
replacement show for Rob, who let us down tonight.
Yeah. Sucks. Outrageous. We got binned off from golf.
He'll be there. He'll be back. He'll come back.
Though.
He'll come back.
It's almost like...
I agree. It's not a real sport, but...
It's almost like saying he went to watch the cricket or something.
Yeah, similar things.
Outrageous.
But yeah.
Right.
Well.
That's the end of this episode anyway, isn't it? So if you haven't listened to any other episodes, go back and have a listen. And keep tuned in. Like, subscribe, share, do all the above, do all the usual stuff.
On the new Portsmouth Basketball Podcast.
That's right. Portsmouth Basketball Podcast.
I pointed at you then like an old man.
And everyone could see. That's right. Just so you remember it. Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. We're going to be on all the streaming channels, so you'll be able to catch them and keep up with us. Look forward to having you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
One day we're going to get you rapping over this.
I'll see if I can come up with something, Mark.